Sure, I'll write a full voiceover script in US English based on the provided outline for a YouTube video. It will have a natural conversational tone and a length of 1,800-2,200 words. The script will be written in a single continuous block, without section markers, and will follow the emotional arc and narrative style requested. Here is the full script. It all started with the kind of sound you just don't hear out here. The wail of police sirens echoing across the still, glassy surface of my lake. I was standing on my small dock, a fishing rod in my hand, when 2 patrol cars rolled up the long, dusty road that leads to my cabin. Their blue and red lights flashed against the water, painting the ancient pines in strange, strobing colors. And that's when I saw her. Carol. She was standing behind the officers, her arms crossed, wearing her usual floral print shirt and a pair of oversized sunglasses that barely hid the scowl on her face. She was shouting something, pointing straight at me like she'd just caught a wanted fugitive. "That's him! He's trespassing on the community's property. He refuses to pay the fees, and he's using the lake without authorization." I blinked, utterly confused. Trespassing? Fees? I just dropped my fishing rod and stared at her, as confused as I was calm. The older deputy approached me, his hand resting on his belt. "Sir," he said carefully, "we got a call about someone refusing to comply with a local homeowners association's rules. Mind telling us what's going on here?" Before I could even answer, Carol stomped closer, wagging a finger right at my face. "He's been warned multiple times. Everyone in this community pays for the maintenance of the lake except him. He's freeloading!" I just looked at her for a moment, and then a slight smile broke across my face. "Ma'am, I think there's been a mistake," I said. Her eyes narrowed. "Oh, there's no mistake. We own this lake, and you're about to get arrested if you don't start respecting that." The deputy glanced back and forth between us. "Sir, do you have proof of ownership or permission to use this lake?" That was my cue. I reached into my old pickup truck and pulled out a thick, worn folder. Inside was the original deed. For a moment, no one spoke. Even the birds seemed to quiet down. Carol's face went white, her jaw clenched in a furious line. "You don't understand, Mark," she hissed. "He's dangerous. He yelled at me last week when I told him he couldn't use his boat." I turned slowly toward her. "You mean when you trespassed on my dock and told me I needed your permission to fish in my own water?" Her face went bright red. You can't talk to me like that." "I just did." Mark rubbed the bridge of his nose. Okay, let's calm down, everyone. Carol, why don't you step aside for a moment?" He looked at me again, his tone more cautious now. "Sir, if what you're saying is true, then this is indeed a misunderstanding, but I'd still like to confirm with the county records." "Be my guest," I said, handing him a photocopy of the deed. "You'll find the parcel number right there." As he flipped through the pages, I watched the change in his expression. The smug confidence faded, replaced by quiet confusion. His lips moved as he read. Finally, he looked up. "This says the lake is within your property boundaries." Carol's voice cut through the silence. "That can't be right." "That can't be right," Mark sighed. "Carol, I think we need to have a private meeting about this." But before they could leave, Carol stomped her foot and pointed at me again. "You're not off the hook yet. I'll call the county. They'll make you join the HOA whether you like it or not." I looked her dead in the eye. "Carol, you're welcome to call whoever you want. But before you do, maybe you should ask Mark who actually filed the HOA's lake registration paperwork in the first place." Mark looked up sharply, blinking. "Wait, how do you know about that?" "Because," I said, smiling, "I was the one who signed the first maintenance permit for the lake back when I still lived here alone." And that's when his phone buzzed. He looked down, read the message, and his face turned pale. He whispered something under his breath, then louder. "Carol, we have a problem." The silence after the deputy's radio crackled was eerie. Even the gentle ripples on the lake seemed to stop moving. Carol's hand trembled around her phone, and Mark's face was frozen like he'd just seen a ghost. "All right, everyone, stay calm," the older deputy said. "We're going to get this sorted out." But Carol wasn't calm. She spun around toward Mark. "You're not seriously believing him, are you? He's trying to scam us. He doesn't even go to HOA meetings." Mark's voice was quiet, but firm. "Carol, I just got a message from the county. They said the property records show the entire lake, shore to shore, is under one private owner's name. She blinked fast. That's impossible. Everyone in the neighborhood has lake access. I leaned back against my truck, arms crossed. Lake access and lake ownership are two different things, Carol. She glared at me, her face red. You're lying. You're just trying to make us look stupid. Then maybe you should have read the property line before calling the cops, I said calmly. A few tense minutes passed before a county surveyor showed up. He looked at the map, then at me. According to the most recent county map, this entire area is listed under one owner. A Mr. Harrison. I stepped forward slowly. That would be me. Carol's jaw dropped. No, that's not right. You must have pulled the wrong record. The surveyor shook his head. No mistake. This is his private property. But Carol? She wasn't done. She stomped closer to me, jabbing her finger toward my chest. You're selfish. This lake belongs to the community. You can't just keep it to yourself. I stepped back slightly. I never stopped anyone from enjoying it. All I asked for was a little respect, and for you to stop dumping HOA trash near my dock. Her eyes went wide. Trash? What trash? Oh, come on, I said. The HOA cleanup crew's been tossing their bags by the water every Saturday for months. You even put up a sign claiming it was a community disposal zone. Mark looked horrified. Wait, you did what? Carol stammered. I thought it was fine. Everyone agreed? Everyone, I repeated, except the person who actually owns the land. Mark sighed deeply. Understood. I'll handle the paperwork and make sure no one uses the lake without proper consent. You're siding with him? Carol shrieked. I'm siding with the law, Mark replied. For a moment, she just stood there, silent, shaking. Then she turned and stormed down the dock, muttering under her breath. And that's when it happened. One of the dock planks gave way under her foot, and she stumbled forward with a yelp. With a loud splash, Carol fell straight into the lake she'd just been claiming ownership of. I couldn't help it. I just burst out laughing right there on the shore. A few days later, a thick white envelope arrived in my mailbox. No return address. Inside was a formal-looking letter with a gold seal on top that read, Notice of Property Review, Whispering Creek Development Committee. And at the bottom, one line that made my blood run cold. Pending investigation into potential improper acquisition of Pondview Lake. She had gone higher. Way higher. The day of the hearing, the entire town seemed to know about it. Carol sat at the plaintiff's table, looking calm, confident. Your Honor, she began, for years, the residents of Whispering Creek have been denied access to the community lake due to this man's false ownership claim. I stood slowly. Sir, my family built that lake in 1968. We didn't buy it. We created it. I handed the clerk a folder containing the original 1968 survey, every property tax record since, and a framed black and white photo of my grandfather standing beside a sign that read, Future site of Pondview Lake. Even Carol stopped talking. But the most powerful blow wasn't from me. The back door opened, and in walked an old family friend, Mrs. Davies. She smiled politely at the committee. My husband helped the Harrison family with the land survey when this lake was first registered. I was there the day the water first filled it. No one else ever owned it. Laughter rippled through the room. Carol's face turned white. No, she whispered. This isn't fair. You don't understand. He's manipulating everyone. The judge leaned back in his chair. Ma'am, property ownership is not determined by feelings. The committee found no evidence of fraud and confirmed my ownership. I thought that would be the end, but it wasn't. Two months later, a realtor's sign appeared at the entrance to Whispering Creek. New development coming soon. Whitmore Lakeside Estates. She hadn't left. She'd just moved down the road and she was building again. I called the county office. Application submitted 2 weeks ago. Developer, Carol Whitmore. The clerk paused. Sir, that's about 50 feet from your southern property line. Over the next few weeks, the noise returned. Chainsaws, trucks, drilling. The once peaceful forest became a construction zone. One afternoon, a construction foreman spotted me and came over. Afternoon, sir. The plans we were given show this as public access land. I sighed. Let me guess. Plans from Whitmore Developers? He nodded cautiously. Yes, sir. I walked him to the fence line and pointed at the weathered iron marker buried in the dirt. See that? That's the original survey pin from 1968. Your flag is 10 feet over. He looked uneasy. Look, I'm just following orders, but if there's a dispute, I can halt work. I looked him dead in the eye. Do that, because if your machines cross that pin again, I'll be calling the sheriff, not a surveyor. 2 days later, a letter arrived, taped to my front gate. It read, Mr. Harrison, since you have continually denied our community access to the lake, I have secured the rights to develop the southern shore as a shared recreation zone. You are welcome to contribute financially to the upkeep of the new pier once construction begins. Cooperation is appreciated. Sincerely, C. Whitmore. I read it 3 times. Then I laughed so hard I nearly dropped it. Cooperation, I muttered. That's a new word for trespass. The next morning, 3 county trucks showed up along with the sheriff and a land surveyor. Carol arrived soon after, stepping out of her new white SUV, clipboard in hand, acting like she was running a press conference. Good morning, gentlemen, she said sweetly. I was told you'd be confirming the new development line. The surveyor and his team went to work. After nearly an hour, the lead surveyor straightened up and frowned. Mrs. Whitmore? Yes, she said, smiling. According to our records, this entire southern shore, including the area marked for your pier, is part of Mr. Harrison's property. Her smile faltered. No, that can't be. The county approved my application. He shook his head. Your permit was based on incorrect boundary data. This land doesn't belong to the Whispering Creek HOA or your development company. Her face twisted into something between fury and heartbreak. You'll regret this, she whispered. All of you. I sighed quietly. Carol, it's time to stop. You've lost too much already. Just let it go. Her eyes filled with tears. You took everything from me, Harrison. The HOA, my reputation, my dream, and now this. I didn't take it, I said softly. You destroyed it yourself. For a second, I thought she might hit me. But then, just as suddenly, she turned and walked away, her heels clicking sharply on the gravel until her car door slammed shut. The engine started, and within moments, her SUV disappeared down the road, dust swirling in her wake. A few weeks later, the construction site was dismantled, and the forest slowly began to reclaim the disturbed soil. I rebuilt the dock one final time, stronger than before. The lake shimmered in the sunlight, calm again, peaceful again, finally mine again. But sometimes, when the wind is just right and the water's still, I swear I can hear the faint echo of her voice across the lake. You'll regret this, Harrison. Maybe I would. Because even though I had won every battle, I lost the sense of peace that used to come so easily. Still, as I sat there one last time that summer, watching the sunset turn the water gold, I realized something important. Carol didn't ruin the lake. She only reminded me how precious it really was, how easily peace can be disturbed, and how fiercely you have to protect it. What's really the difference between winning and losing when you're both left with nothing? Did Carol's actions come from a place of malice, or just a deep-seated need for control and community? Did I really win, or did I just end up with an empty lake and a bitter taste in my mouth? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Who was the real winner here, and what would you have done differently?